Mark Waku. As you can hear, I've been trying to pick up a little bit of the local lingo. We're in Kirinyaga County, as you said, and this is a Mushere edition. But first, I've got a surprise for you. It's not a bird, it's not a plane, and no, it's not Superman. But like Superman, this guy has more than meets the eye. You ready? Drum rolls, please.
Thank you, Olive. Now tonight I trade the sports kit for the suit and tie. And what better place to start than county number 20, Kirinyaga. Welcome, my name is Edmond Nyabola, live from Kutus, where for the next 4 days we will be covering the voices of the people, the economic activities and the political intrigues from this part of the country. But first, back to Nairobi with Mark Masai.
Edmund Nyabola, karibu sana to the team. Welcome back, actually. And yes, we'll be with you at county number 20 in a bit. But a lot of the stories also, in terms of the top stories of the day, will be coming out from the Nerve Center right here at county number 47. We're live from the Nation Center. Ahead.
Tonight, changes in cabinet. Rashid Echesa kicked out of cabinet, replaced by Amina Mohammed as the tough-talking Professor George Magoha gets nominated. Also tonight, the gloves are off again. Not even the dams will hold back Raila Odinga and William Ruto.
7 billion Kenyans did not pocket change.
This is not about a person, personalities, or mandasinomics. This is about 100,000 people in Aurora and Kimwarer who will get drinking water.
Plus, the heartbreak of a repeat defilement of a Standard 8 girl.
Me, I don't want to comment on, so don't ask me stupid questions.
Babu Owino finds his groove thanks to a selfie. And an announcement referendum, both on the same podium. Your weekly dose of political satire coming up on Bullseye.
NTV Weekend Edition with Mark Masai.
Glad you could join us. Also part of our team in our coverage tonight is Flora Atieno, who will be in charge of the sign language interpretation. As I mentioned earlier, there have been some changes, and this is a top story tonight. As per Executive Order number 3, 2019, President Uhuru Kenyatta has shaken up his cabinet, and the reshuffle comes just days after the president slammed his government for engaging in corruption. I'm sure you probably heard mention of some of the names. Let's give you confirmation of this. You can see the word there, sacked. That is Rashid Echesa. He has been sacked and has been booted out of the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage, and his critics have questioned his contribution to the ministry as well as his academic qualifications. This was from the get-go when he was getting appointment, but his supporters are questioning the real motive behind his exit. Now, Echesa is a former ODM youth leader in Kakamega turned Jubilee stalwart. Well, that's been the talk of town, but also fired from her post is Fatuma Hirsi. Now, she is leaving one of the positions of Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology vacant. This is not the first time she's been moved around. The reasons behind her sacking are unclear. Hirsi has been moved around frequently. She is the former PS in the tourism and former PS in the State Department of Broadcasting and Telecommunications. You haven't heard a lot about that. Most of the focus has been on Echesa. Now, on to a promotion. Professor Magoha, that is George Magoha, this has been nominated as the Cabinet Secretary for Education. Magoha's nomination will be debated by the National Assembly, and if passed, He will be appointed by the president. Magoha is currently the tough-talking chair of NEC, the Kenya National Examination Council. On to some other changes earlier today. Ambassador Amina Mohammed has been reappointed now to head the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage, a move that is viewed by some as a demotion. During her first one-year tenure as Education CS, Amina's decision on the rollout of the new competency-based system caused confusion and even led to the president having to make an apology to the stakeholders. This is the second time that Amina has been reposted, having previously been ejected from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, raising questions about her political future. She replaces Rashid Echesa, and a full entree awaits her on the sports docket, as we are going to see in the sports news later on. And these individuals also, we have some changes that didn't quite catch the focus of many. These individuals have also been changed in position. Susan Mochache is the PS in the Ministry of Health. She has previously held the position of PS in the Ministry of EAC, Labor and Social Protection. Now, Ali Noor Ismail is a PS in the State Department for Cooperatives. Ibrahim Mohammed is a PS of Environment and Forestry. And Peter Kiplagat Tum, the PS in the Ministry of Labor. Margaret Makima is a PS in the East African Community Affairs. And Susan Koech, the PS in the Ministry of Wildlife. President Uhuru Kenyatta's changes in cabinet and the executive signal a change in style of leadership, with ineffective leaders seemingly being targeted. Now, the sacking of Rashid Echesa, which some have called for almost as long as he has been in office, is largely viewed as a disciplinary measure that the head of state has undertaken after a series of warnings to non-performing senior government officials. Well, that's not all. You know who's replacing her. In addition to this, the transfer of Amina Mohammed from the education to the sports, culture and heritage docket has also left many speculating that it is also a way to attend to the wanting performance of the CS in a sensitive docket. All this seems to have informed the president's plan to bring in the tough-talking, no-nonsense Professor George Magoha to keep the education ship steady and increase confidence in the cabinet. Setolale looks at some of the ministerial policy blunders that might have necessitated the cabinet changes.
Barely months after taking charge at the education docket from Fred Matiang'i, there was already a sense of disquiet in the education sector, especially about how the key ministry was being managed by Ambassador Amina Mohammed. The latest controversy on help loan defaulters, perhaps the straw the proverbial camel's back. Although the minister had clarified that only employed defaulters will be reprimanded, it appeared to be the last blunder in a piling list.
Wapatia hao vijana kazi, wakate hiyo 7 bilioni yao kutoka kwa hao vijana ambao hawana kazi, sababu hawajakataa kulipa, ni kwa sababu hawana.
Late last month, the Ministry of Education suspended issuance of tablets to Class 1 pupils under the Digital Literacy Program, opting instead to build computer laboratories.
Chair, we've already started doing classroom observations.
Principal Secretary Bello Kipsang told the National Assembly Education Committee that each of the 25,000 public primary schools will get one computer laboratory. In December 2018, the Education Cabinet Secretary was faulted by her bosses after she told a Senate committee that the country was not ready for rollout of the new curriculum. She later announced that the new curriculum will be rolled out in January this year and not 2020 as had been agreed by the Curriculum National Steering Committee meeting, which she chaired.
In terms of readiness and preparedness for implementation or rollout of the new competence-based curriculum, the Kenya Public Association is more than ready.
The 100% transition is concerned, we are at a very good place now. I think we have achieved about 83%.
During the Form 1 admission early this year, Unions, parents, students and school heads expressed displeasure with the Education Ministry following a directive to urgently recall students who had not been admitted through the National Education Management Information System, NEMIS. CS Amin Abdallah and his principal secretary later announced that all principals who have been issued hard copy letters to parents to regularize the process by uploading the students' details onto the online system to fast-track the process of validation and approval. Former Sports and Culture Cabinet Secretary Rashid Echesa started his tenure with critics questioning his academic credentials during his parliamentary vetting. Echesa did not have a smooth ride in the sports docket and was occasionally embroiled in controversies, especially with sports federations and national teams over funds. For PS Fatuma Hirsi, the writing was always on the wall. She did not appear in the president's list of cabinet and principal secretaries immediately after the 2017 election. She was only included as a PS much later. She had been transferred from a tourism docket to the ICT ministry. It would appear she did not fulfill expectations. President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is on unofficial duty in Addis Ababa, says the shake-up is meant towards bringing efficiency, accountability and transparency at all levels of government. Seth Olale, NTV, Nairobi.
It has been a quick rise to the top for Rashid Mohammed Echesa and an even faster fall. The 37-year-old has been on as controversial within cabinet as he has out of it, way before he got into the highest governing organ in the country and started to enjoy national recognition. NTV's Ken Mijungu dissects Echesa's fall from grace.
Rashid Mohammed Echesa becomes the first cabinet secretary in President Kenyatta's government to be fired since the Jubilee government took power in 2013. He also makes history as the shortest-serving cabinet secretary in Kenyatta's government. At only 36, he became one of the youngest cabinet secretaries to run the sports docket. For Echesa, it was one more accolade, having risen from the bottom, and this was seen as a validation of hard work and determination. But this was before the skeletons in his closet were let loose.
Mheshimiwa Rais, His Excellency the President was not stupid to appoint me in the cabinet. Alijua tuna maprofesa, lakini akasema hapana, hata mtoto wa maskini dunia hii anaweza pewa nafasi aongoze watu wa Kenya.
From the onset, he was the unlikeliest candidate for this cabinet job, armed with basic education and a questionable past, but with the benefit of being politically correct. At least at the time of nomination, he managed to get through vetting after his nomination. The Jubilee Party dominance at the committee sweeping him comfortably to the top. In his earlier life, Echesa was a youth wing leader for the Orange Democratic Movement in Western Kenya. He campaigned vigorously for ODM and the opposition before he shifted allegiance. And with that came the hazards. He made enemies along the way and did it publicly, especially when he became a staunch Jubilee believer, many believe courtesy of the deputy president.
Kama Raila sasa amekuwa ndio appointing authority in this country, I want to dare you, Tinga, wherever you are, come and sack me. Kuja unifute. Kama wewe ndio appointing authority leo Kenya hii, come and sack me, please. I have a very young family to look after. Sina time, I have no time ya kufuatana na fitina, na porojo, na kitandawili. I don't have that time.
The former cabinet secretary has a reputation for being abrasive, and when he clashed with Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala, the tough wars degenerated into a smear campaign, with Malala accusing Echesa of sponsoring some journalist to Photoshop his head on nude pictures.
Walipomuuliza pesa, waziri alienda akapatia dereva wake anaitwa Frederick Ouma, ambaye kwa majina ya utani anaitwa Adamu. Dereva wake official ndio alitumia hao wanahabari pesa, na tuko paka na message ya MP.
Towards the end of last year, 9 Pakistani girls and 1 Indian exotic dancer claimed they were in the country allegedly courtesy of Rashid Echesa. The CS refuted the claims that led to the deportation of the girls. They went to court seeking 9 million shillings as compensation. In his backyard, Echesa has managed to rub virtually all politicians who are not in the Jubilee camp the wrong way. He has undermined the traditional leadership of the community and dismissed their influence, which he says is out of time.
Tumeenda kuchunguza First Assurance Company, director number 1 ni nani? Watoto wetu tunapata director number 1 ni Musalia Mudavadi.
He leaves the sports docket having made little progress to actualize the dreams he had for the ministry. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
Well, we sampled some views on the president's reorganization of government, and here's some of them. Listen in.
Yeye aliahidi watu mambo mengi sana wakati alipewa hii cheo hii ya kuwa waziri wa michezo. Na akasema wataunda viwanja. Rashid kweli vile anapodai anadai kwamba yeye ni hustler. Mimi sijajua mambo yake, lakini nimesoma kwa magazeti alisahau kazi yake. Mimi namuunga Mr. Uhuru bwana kwa hii kazi ambayo amefanya kumfukuza.
Wangeaja tu pia yeye akae pale. Unapompatia mtu kazi sio lazima tena ukamtoe pale. Mwanzo alikuwa anasimamia vizuri hiyo upande wa michezo.
Amina amekuwa the CS for education, but sisi hatujaona the help yenye amekuwa kitusaidia.
Na huyo mama hawezi kitu, hata hawezi kukimbia. Sasa sijui atafanya kazi gani kwa uwanja hapo wakati yenye ataona vurugi imetoka uwanja. Lakini Echesa alikuwa kijana anisatoka kona hii na afike kona ile.
Penya ameweka Amina, amemweka mahali pazuri. Wacha atafute na wengine na wao pia wasimamize kazi. Tunataka Kenya iendelee mbele na tunataka mawaziri wenye wanafanya kazi.
We are just worried. Why is it coming in bits? We are expecting changes. The water, we have challenges on water. On the dams, there should have been a change on this. We waited so long.
Kwa upande wa education, ameleta Makoha ambaye walikuwa wameshirikiana vizuri sana na CS Matiang'i wakati walikuwa wanarainisha idara ya elimu. Makoha anaelewa vizuri sana idara ya elimu na ninajua he is the best man in that position.
Mambo ya kuhusika mambo ya wizi, scandals ya huyo mwenye ameenda nyumbani, wacha pumzika na wengine wajue ya kwamba wizi ni mbaya.
Right now I have a whole store of maize.
Some good views there. Let's get the view of the Deputy President, William Ruto. He was today saying that the construction of the Aror and Kimorer Dam will continue, despite reports that billions of shillings were lost in the project. Ruto has termed the claims that money was lost as diversionary tactics by those opposed to development. He was speaking during the Pastoralist Leadership Summit in Garissa County that brought together 15 counties in the arid and semi-arid areas. NTV's Silas Apollo was in attendance when the Deputy President and his team directed their cannons at ODM leader Raila Odinga, seemingly throwing out the civility brought on by the handshake.
And if somebody is stealing, don't go and shout there and tell us that, oh, 7 billion shillings is nothing. 7 billion shillings is not pocket change. See your pesa ya kununua mandazi.
This is not about a person, personalities, or mandazinomics. This is about 100,000 people in Aror and Kimwarer who will get drinking water.
Speaking in Garissa town a day after it defended the Aror and Kimwarer dam projects that have reportedly lost billions of taxpayers' money, Deputy President William Ruto said no amount of talk will stop the project.
Our commitment to provision of water, especially through mega dams in arid and semi-arid Kenya, is because we believe that that is the critical resource that will turn around the fortunes of pastoral Kenya.
He said that reports that billions of shillings were paid for work not done is far from the truth. Ruto made the remarks just hours after he had on Thursday denied the loss of 21 billion shillings in the project. He instead said that the amount was 7 billion shillings, which he insisted was guaranteed by a bank. The Deputy President and his team insist that the project is opposed by those who are against development of marginalized parts of the country and that revelations of grand corruption are a political scheme. ODM leader Raila Odinga, while addressing a party national governing council meeting in Nairobi, told off Ruto and his team, saying the explanation that it was 7 billion shillings and not 21 billion shillings that was lost does not add up.
Forget about focusing on the petty politics of 2022 and William Ruto and some mandazinomics you have been telling us about. This is, there are people whose trademark They told us that if they lose an election, they will go and make mandasi. So you lost the election. Why are you not making mandasi? Why are you bringing mandasi business into a very serious development program?
Governors present at the event say they would rally for the unity of the pastoralist community to increase their bargaining power during negotiations.
I believe with conviction that within the next 25 years, the drivers of the economy of Kenya will be ourselves. Because we have the landmass, we have mineral deposits that are unexploited.
The county chiefs also opposed the politicization of the upcoming census, a call that was supported by the deputy president. Other leaders present warned politicians against marginalizing the arid and semi-arid areas.
I want to tell anyone who thinks that they are going to joke with us because we are marginalized areas, they must know today that we are not visitors in Kenya. We are born, brought up, and part and parcel of Kenya. And under the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, we are not asking or requesting their favor. We are demanding development as a right.
Hatuwezi kubali tupoteze wodi moja, constituency moja, na margin ya county yetu. We either have one united country, or we are told every body now we are in devolved government. In fact, we can ask for federalism.
Silas Apollo, NTV, Garissa County.
From those Mandazinomics, which I believe will be the new catchphrase for the next few days. We'll be taking a break here on NTV Weekend Edition, but as I mentioned earlier, we have Olive Burrows and the new kid on the block, Edmond Nyabol. Okay, Edmond, I know you're excited to be next to Olive. Don't have to smile that much. But yes, we'll be back with them after the break with more from that side. Stay with us.
Thank you for keeping it NTV Weekend Edition. And as Mark said, we are back with the new kid on the block, Edmond Nyabola. How are you feeling?
Super excited, of course. Like I said, I have, given up the jersey. But just to see if this works out. If it doesn't, I'll rush back and take my jersey and go back to sports.
At least he has a sense of humor.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. We are live, of course, from Kutus, where we will be for the next 4 days ahead of next week's Devolution conference, which will happen here at the Kirinyaga University. But first, some stories making the headlines.
Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha Jumwa faces the danger of losing her parliamentary seat after the National Governing Council of ODM party unanimously resolved to expel her from the party.
However, Msambweni legislator Suleiman Dori has survived the expulsion for now after the council deferred its decision on the recommendation, to also expel him.
It is during ODM's National Governing Council meeting in Nairobi that the delegates present endorsed the decision of the party's disciplinary committee to expel Malindi MP Aisha Jumwa. The council meeting, chaired by the party leader Raila Odinga, ratified the expulsion of Jumwa for being disloyal and indisciplined towards the party leadership.
The National Governing Council of ODM has resolved unanimously to ratify the decision of the National Executive Council that the said Member of Parliament be expelled from the party as per the recommendations of the disciplinary committee.
Msambweni MP Suleiman Dori for now has some form of temporary respite. The council deferred its decision on the recommendation to expel him. This is after Dori wrote a letter to ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna apologizing for going against the party and its leadership.
And summon him to a special session of the National Governing Council in order that he can mitigate his case before the NGC, and that the said special NGC shall be held within 60 days from today.
Dori pays for another meeting. He must pay for the next meeting if we have to come here, because it's actually expensive to have you here. So we are hoping, since he has been told to come before us, that he will be able to finance the meeting.
The tribulations facing Dori and Jumwa started after they publicly declared their support for Deputy President William Ruto's 2022 presidential bid. Besides that, their move to accompany the Deputy President in his tours across the country, especially at the coast, put them at loggerheads with the ODM leadership. A few weeks ago, efforts by Jumwa and Dori through their advocate Senate Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen to appeal the decision of the National Executive Council that had endorsed their expulsion flopped. The party dismissed the appeal, saying there was no provision of such appeal to the Governing Council in their constitution. Members and county leaders of ODM have been urged to promote the party at grassroots levels. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Now, the Political Parties Act provides that a party member may only be expelled for contravening the party constitution and after being accorded a fair hearing in accordance with the internal dispute resolution mechanisms.
According to Section 14 of the Political Parties Act contained in Part 2 of the Act that deals with registration and regulation of political parties, the law issues guidelines on scenarios where a member of a political party is said to have resigned.
Now, subsection 5 of the Section 14 lists 5 of those scenarios. It states that a person will be deemed to have resigned from the previous political party if, while being a member of the political party, forms another political party, joins in the formation of another political party, joins another political party in any way or manner, publicly advocates for the formation of another political party, or promotes the ideology, interests, or policies of another political party.
Subsection 7 of Section 14 further states that a member of a political party may only be expelled from that political party if the member has infringed on the constitution of the political party and after the member has been afforded a fair opportunity to be heard in accordance with the internal party disputes resolution mechanisms as prescribed in the constitution of the party.
Now, a political party whose member is deemed to have resigned under subsection 5 shall, in accordance with the procedure set out in the Constitution, that a political party notify the registrar of such decision within 7 days whenever the registrar receives a complaint from any person requesting that a member of a political party be deemed to have resigned. The registrar shall assess whether the complaint is justified or not. If justified, the registrar may make a declaration based on sufficient grounds for the person to be deemed to have resigned. The registrar shall dismiss insufficient complaint and inform the complaint of the decision.
Now on to matters at Kirinyaga. The mention of Kirinyaga County evokes images of acres of rice paddies and the smell of the signature Pishori rice. But the county is also leading in the production of another cash crop, coffee.
Now, the coffee produced in the farms here has been ranked first in the country, in the continent, and amongst the best in the world. NTV's Brenda Wanga reports on this crop production and the impact its presence here has on the residents.
The vagaries of the weather are evident on the coffee bushes in David's small farm, but he is not worried. He knows that in a few days, weeks, the skies will open up and the bushes will turn a lush green, and soon after the bushes will be weighed down with the kilos of vibrant red beans that have sustained him and his family for years.
Nimefanya kazi ya kulima kahawa kwa muda wa kama miaka 12 hivi tangu nipewe hii kahawa na mzee. Na nimeona imenifanyia makubwa.
The earnings from coffee farming have helped him transform his piece of land into a home and a thriving farm as well.
Na kama ni ng'ombe, hiyo mjengo nimejenga hapo, ni pesa ya kahawa. Watoto nimesomesha.
He is one of the thousands of farmers in this county who kept their faith in the crop even when the prices fell and the markets were hostile. That faith has paid off.
Mapato ya kahawa ni mzuri kabisa. Maana kama sasa tulikuwa tumelipa last year, tulilipa na 80 shillings, 85. At the highest society factory ilikuwa imelipa na 102.
He processes his coffee through Rungeto Farmers Cooperative Society and with a sense of pride. This cooperative has been voted as the best producer of coffee in Kenya and in Africa this year.
Kahawa ya Rungeto tunachunga na tunaambia wakulima kahawa ni biashara. Kwa hivyo mtu akitengeneza kahawa yake atengeneze pahali ambapo atapata pesa mingi ya kutumia.
The farmers at this cooperative produce an average of 3 million kilograms of coffee annually. They believe that they can do better.
Malipo si vile unakuwa unatarajia. Lakini sana sana nayo malipo ya kahawa kama umelipa kilo 10 ulipo hata ukilipo na 100 hizo ni shilingi 300. Kweli utakuwa ukiona kama iko na pesa. Hapa kwetu tunaambiaga wakulima hata kama pesa ni ndogo ukuwe na kahawa mingi itakusaidia.
Kirinyaga County is amongst the regions that produce high yields of coffee, contributing to the numbers that place coffee as one of the leading contributors to the country's foreign exchange earnings. However, there have been perennial concerns about the profits accrued from the industry, especially where farmers are concerned. The county government of Kirinyaga is now spearheading the push to have farmers earn significantly more than they currently do. For now, though, the farmers are eagerly awaiting for the rains, for their crops to flourish, and for them to carry on with producing world-class coffee. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Now, still on the markets and, of course, business within this county, the county government of Kirinyaga has embarked on a program to modernize markets in the county in an effort to give traders, who are predominantly farmers, the space they need to sell their produce.
Currently, 5 markets are under construction in this financial year.
Tuesdays and Fridays are market days in Kirinyaga County. At the Wanguru market, traders and customers go about their business. The county government is still upgrading the market, as is one of its flagship projects.
Since we have upgraded this market with the paving slabs, the shade, the floodlight, the traders are very happy because now they're able to trade more hours. The place is very conducive for trading, and Wajiko is able now to make more money.
Naona hapa ndio baba na kifuri kidogo kisuri.
Kuna kivuli mzuri na watu wanakuja kununua.
Na wanakuja. Tulikuwa tunanyeshewa na saa hii hatunyeshewi. Customer wanakuja hata tunauza mpaka karibu saa 3.
We've done Makutano Market. We've also done Kagio Market, both the cereals and the clothes market. We're also working on Kutu's Market. And this week, we've also started working on Kagumo Market and Kirinyaga Market.
The markets are managed by committees and are segmented according to what traders are selling. Kennedy Muredi, NTV in Kirinyaga County.
It's about 6 years since the creation of county governments to devolve services to the people.
Now here in Kirinyaga County, residents have spoken of their thoughts and aspirations ahead of the 6th Devolution Conference next week here at the Kirinyaga University, and here are some of their views.
Mi mambo na Devolution imeleta mabadiliko kwanza na saidi za hizi haraka za kuunda barabara, mataa sasa hivi hata unaenda na gari kama ujakisha mataa, si unaona? Sasa tutaki kitu iende for la season ati magavana juu amekuja, tunataka iendelee kabisa, si unaona? Barabara ziendelee na hiyo speed.
Sisi hatujaona maendeleo ile ambayo tulikuwa tunatarajia. Tulikuwa tunatarajia wakati tumepata devolution, kila mwananchi pale popote atajivunia kwa biashara ambayo anafanya. Tunanyanyaswa sana. Kwa hivyo mimi kwa maoni yangu mambo ya devolution tukue naye lakini ipunguzwe. Devolution tuwe na kaunti chache.
In a few ways, at least I can say the youth wamekuwa reached, because at least the 30% is working for the youth. But in other ways, unapata pia bado tunafinyiliwa kwingine. Yeah. Like health still should have remained with the national government.
Enyewe tumeona mabadiliko kwa sababu kama ni services, tumeanza kuona barabara zinajengwa vizuri. Hata kazi wengine wamepata kazi. Ijapokuwa haijafika pahali tungetaka ifike kama watoto wapate kazi.
Unajua huko chini kulikuanga na wazee walikuwa napora watu, lakini sasa siku hizi kuna light, at least hiyo ratio ya kuibiana imeenda chini.
I expect them to narrow down on how to actually make sure all the funds are utilized. Si ati zinakuja tena zinarudi kwa treasury. And also they should consider who they have around them, because the advisors they have, some of them mislead them.
Edmund actually went out and got those views. How did you manage it in the heat? It was so hot.
Oh my God, 34 degrees. And of course, the other man says this is going to continue for the better part of this month. But I spoke to them and they're excited about the guests who are coming here next week. Of course, all the 47 governors, the senators, all 47 of them, and the nominated ones, of course, and top national government
officials. Did they baptize you?
Not yet, and this is what we're going to do. People of Kirinyaga, we want names that actually speak about this part of the country. The hashtag, of course, at NTV Kenya, at Nyabola Edmond, and
at O Barrows. And on that note, we take a break.
Dan Mwangi has the business after this.
transforming our countries and improving the living conditions of our people.
We need to accelerate plans to transform the Moyale region into a commonly administrated economic hub of East Africa.
Vivo Energy has completed the 20 billion shilling acquisition of Engen Holdings in a deal which expands its service stations to 23 countries in Africa from 15. Through the deal, Vivo Energy has added 230 service stations to its African operations. The buyout enables Vivo Energy to also explore further business opportunities in commercial fuels, mining and lubricants. The deal, which was initially announced in December 2017, makes Vivo Energy the largest independent Pan-African fuels and lubricants retailer. Following the buyout, Engen will hold a 5% shareholding in Vivo Energy. Now, investors wrapped up this week's trading with 22 billion shillings less than they did last week, as indicated by the decline in market capitalization to 2.2 trillion shillings. This week's activity was dominated by Safaricom, which moved 35 million shares valued at 927 million shillings, with banking stocks coming second even as the earnings season started.
The season for commercial banks' full-year results is here, and a 61% surge in its load of bad debts to stand at 16.6 billion shillings took the shine off Stanbic Holdings' 45% rise in net profit for the year ended December 2018. The company, whose shareholders have realized a 3% gain in price since the start of 2019, has recommended a final dividend of 3 shillings and 55 cents for 2018.
You saw the results, the NPOs going up in the last quarter. And I think what we said is it was a very specific to a particular set of clients rather than a broad sector. And it was largely a particular set of clients in agriculture. So it's a very specific, concentrated problem, if I would say that.
And staying with results, flour manufacturing company Unga Group saw its net profit for the 6 months ended December 2018 dip by 40% to 306 million shillings compared to the same period in 2017. In the period under review, the company took a beating from a rising competition and weak demand, which saw its revenue fall by 18% to 9 billion shillings. Unga has simultaneously issued a profit warning for the full year ending June 2019.
The Nairobi Securities Exchange seems to have lost the momentum it started the year with the NSE 20 share index moderating to the 2,900 level. But with the earnings season for the banking sector on the way, investors are banking on the year's results to lift up the performance of the exchange. Julian Amboko, NTV.
That's how the markets look this week. Now, with just 2 weeks to go to the start of the planting calendar, farmers around the country still don't have fertilizer because the Ministry of Agriculture is yet to bring in the subsidized commodity. And as farmers worry about the quality of crop they will harvest, farmers in Vihiga County are set for a good season as the county government imported its own fertilizer. The program, set to cost 70 million shillings, targets to distribute 20 kilos of fertilizer and a 2-kilogram bag of seed to each of the 37,900 farmers that are targeted under the project. Now let's talk about food now that it's Friday, and diversification. That is the magic word that has been floated over the years as a solution to all that is wrong with maize farming. And one crop that has been suggested is avocado, a suggestion that hasn't gone down well with many maize farmers in the North Rift. But as Lois Wangoi reports, avocado is not such a bad idea. I know many people don't agree with that because the demand for the avocado on the international market is on the rise and some farmers are warming up to avocados.
At Kapsain Farm, rows of avocado plantations scatter on this 40-acre piece of land. This is Mika Cheseram's farm. He quit maize farming 3 years ago after suffering many frustrations such as low maize prices.
The time for diversification is yesterday, but since yesterday is gone, the time is then now. Avocado is a good crop for diversification, and there's a very good future.
In the last few years, demand for avocado on the international market has grown and Kenya's share of exports steadily increased. In 2018, avocado exports hit 6.5 billion shillings, the highest amount ever posted. This was due to increased demand from Europe, particularly the Netherlands. China is also coming up strongly as a market for the fruit.
Maneno ya diversification ya mambo ya kilimo. Sehemu hii tupande mahindi, lakini pia tuweke avocado.
This farmer says water is the single most important factor of production in avocado farming. Rain-fed avocado farming makes the fruit take too long to reach maturity, and that lowers the quality of the fruit.
Avocado needs a lot of water. Rain-fed takes a long time. You can plant rain-fed. It will take you about 3-4 years to get the first crop. If you have got plenty of water, you can even get before 3 years. You can see our crop. It's already 2 years, and by June, May, we're harvesting the first crops.
In his farm, he uses drip irrigation, which is powered by solar energy, this reducing electricity cost.
The second investment, if you can, is to go solar. Go solar because the cost of electricity is very high in Kenya.
Mika says avocado is an easy crop to grow with not so often but a manageable pest and disease control.
There is this idea that's only for old people. Wango, your generation, you are missing something out. Avocado, once you grow, 3 years you harvest, and you will harvest for 90 years. 90. I encourage the young people to take a crop of avocado farming very seriously.
This crop is now ready for harvest, and Mika says it is all intended for export to the Chinese market. Hass variety remains the most popular in the world markets as it can be put to a number of uses such as guacamole, avocado toast, warm pesto sauce, and as a healthy fat component.
Kisii has got avocados, Nyeri has got avocados. 80% of the avocados we have got is the wrong type of avocados. It's the wrong type. But if you have got Hass, there is a market.
So, to diversify or not to diversify, a majority of the farmers we interact with here in the North Rift say they appreciate that the conversation is timely, but would rather the government puts in a framework and structures to ensure that that particular transition is beneficial to farmers here. Lois Wangoi, NTV for Food Friday in the county of Uasin Gishu.
Mika Cheserem is the former CRA chairman as well as CBK governor. And that's all on Food Friday by Lois Wangoi brings us the end of the bulletin of the business bulletin that is for tonight and for the week. Thank you for joining us. But after this break, we'll be crossing back to the county of Kirinyaga, where we have Edmund Nyabola and Olive Barrows bringing to us. Hopefully they'll get new names by the time they leave there. Many of us get names. Unfortunately, some of us go to counties where we already have names relating to that. So back to these guys after the break. My name is Dan Mwangi. Have yourself a good night and weekend ahead.
Welcome back to Kirinyaga County. Now, this one is tragic. A clinical officer was today charged in a Makueni court for defiling a Class 8 girl. The accused, Samuel Kimotho Mutisia, was in charge of Kadhonzweni dispensary in Makueni, where the girl had been taken in for treatment after she was defiled by her neighbor.
Now, while appearing before the senior principal magistrate, James Mwaniki, the accused pleaded not guilty to the 2 counts he was accused of. The court released him on a 300,000 shillings bond and a surety of the same amount, but he has been detained at the Makueni remand as he could not make bail. The case will be mentioned on the 14th of March.
Kiongozi wa mashtaka anasema nakupea sahihi. Kiongozi wa mashtaka anasema anataka mlalamisha sikizwe ushahidi yake.
From that tragic story, of course, to bullseye, political satire. Now, ambition is a good thing, and Moses Kuria has just discovered that it can also help propel one into the circle of the relevant. He found some shoes, and with this, he is walking around announcing his intentions to anyone who wishes to hear.
His is a joke, seriousness and comedy rolled into one. And as Emmanuel Jumba now reports on Bullseye, in Kenyan politics, truth is increasingly becoming relative.
You can't spend what you don't have. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
And Babu, please, today is a no Matusi day.
Hakuna Matusi.
He is a Babu, and Babus with their wisdom can be trusted, right? So, Babu, who is the man in the picture?
Me, I don't want to comment on it.
We insist, Babu. Do you know this guy?
So don't ask me stupid questions.
You still have not answered the stupid question.
This member of parliament, he was invited by the parent of the lady who was wedding. Then invited us as members of parliament, so I don't want to hear nonsense.
Now we are getting somewhere. Maybe, just maybe, this is the nonsense that Babu does not want.
Oh, bwana. Hata NTV weka vitu vingine za kishenzi sana jana. Kapeleka huko demonstration hiyo ya M23.
Hold on. Take your seat, Babu. You just threatened demos against NTV. How now?
And this demonstration, there is no demonstration without tear gas. That is when it can be nice.
And he had made a promise.
Hakuna Matusi.
The truth, lies, half-truths are meant to be rotated in politics. For example, is Ferdinand Waititu saved?
Mimi nataka kutubu niseme mimi nakuanga nimeokoka lakini sio 100%. Lakini nimeokoka.
When asked to explain,
mimi ni mwanasiasa lazima nitubu kama Mkristo vile. Pasa akisimama hapa lazima aongee maneno ya kwenda mbinguni. Na mimi nikisimama hapa lazima niseme kitu kidogo. Inahusiana na ile kazi ambayo ninafanya.
Well, another one from Kiambu recently raided the museum and picked up a pair of shoes.
Simuona hii viatu nimevaa. Hii ilikuwa ya Jomo.
And because of that, he's making all the noise.
Niko hapa kuomba kura zenu, nilikuwa nasimama urais.
A referendum was conducted immediately. Question: should Moses Kuria run for president? This was the competitor's answer. Imagine how the conversation went. Eti Moses Kuria wants to be president. Ha ha ha.
Chama hili nitakuwa nayo, nitawaambia wakati huo, unaweka tika hapo. Unaona ile gari inakuja. Na mimi huyo anaingia Ikulu.
Wakati wa kuomba kura ukifika, mnajua mimi nitakuja kuwaomba ya nani na sio yangu na sio ya Moses Kuria.
Moses Kuria wewe, handshake itakuokoa.
Niambie tu Moses Kuria sio upande yako.
In a village, there are many animals.
Even in politics, there are many animals.
Tell us more.
Inasumbua watu kwa village, ikitangaza kila pahali vile imetaga mayai. Na yai ni moja. Ile ng'ombe tumekamua, maziwa imekunywa na watoto kila pahali, ng'ombe iongei.
Kiraitu is saying Moses Kuria is just a chicken.
Juzi nimeongea mambo ya kuleta mayai, kuleta kuku.
And chickens protect their eggs, don't they? As for Echesa,
nimefanya kazi na hustler huyu miezi ngapi? Mimi ni nani katika nchi ya Kenya hii?
You could call that pride. Sorry, bride.
Kama Raila sasa amekuwa ndio appointing authority in this country, I want to dare you, Tinga, wherever you are, come and sack me.
And that could qualify for bravado. Or is it bravado? But then there was this elder's curse.
Na mimi nataka kusema hivi jua ikienda chini. Mtoto mdogo nilizaa. Anaitwa Rashid Mohamed Echesa. Huyu ni mtoto tulizaa. Kile ruma ni sehemu halo rio. Ya kwanza. Ndamuyu ulira.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Mimi sijui hii tabu imetokea wapi.
There was a time Baba said he would go make mandazis in Kibra if he lost an election.
Somebody is stealing, don't go and shout there and tell us that, oh, 7 billion shillings is nothing. 7 billion shillings is not pocket change.
Forget about focusing on the petty politics of 2022 and William Ruto and some mandasinomics you have been telling us about. This is, there are people whose trademark, they told us that if they lose an election, they will go and make mandasi. So you lost the election. Why are you not making mandasi?
Emmanuel Juma, Bullseye, NTV.
Now, we had asked you for names, of course, the people of Kirinyaga, to give us names here. And we have one from at Genius. He says Nyabola Edmond will be called Mudhike and Olive Barrow's Buroti Maguta Maguta.
And now in Cumberland, Mudhike is a girl's name. And as I mentioned, we are we're at university, Kirinyaga University, and they've suggested Wandia for me and Jeru for you. And Jeru, as I understand it, means new, so that's befitting. Yes. I'm not so sure about Wandia.
Apparently, it means colobus monkey, first of all. And, of course, this place is called Ndia, so Wandia.
From Ndia. And from combination, Ndia means fool, so I'm not so sure I'm loving that name.
Not the nicest things to say about Olive tonight, but
so, we are taking more suggestions. We take a break.
All right, coming back.